What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Rags to Riches. I'm still celebrating that the international break is over, and we do have some midweek stuff to do in the video here today. But before we do that, we need to see how we got on over this weekend. If you guys are enjoying the content here on the channel, please do show me by leaving a like. Subscribe if you're new. Let's get into Rags to Riches for the week. Yes, guys, so it's that time of the week here on Rags to Riches to talk you guys through the results of the last weekend. And as you can see on screen here today, here is our La Liga outfit and Bundesliga. And you can see a little bit of, I don't know what the right word is, but a lot of good foundation, but they just didn't do the business this weekend. As you can see, all four scores are in a very similar sort of range here. You know, anywhere as low as 297, basically 300, to about 320. So, yeah, sort of in that range where you're like, okay, starting to think your team's going to do well, but then they just plateau, and no one else does that well. As you can see, apart from Gabriel Suazo, the rest of them just scoring between 40 and 50, with the odd good performer in there, like Aymar getting an assist. But generally speaking, yeah, just a bit of a flat set of results here in La Liga, which is, you know, completely fine. Like I stated in the last video, for those of you guys that managed to watch nearly a 30-40 minute video, I know it was a long one in the last episode, and that is because, of course, it was international break, so a lot was going on. Yeah, pretty much. Just a bit of a, well, like I said in the last episode, sorry, I don't always expect all of these budget players to perform insane, so sometimes when we get game weeks like this, it's kind of, it makes sense to me in my head. So yeah, just a bit of an average week in La Liga and Bundesliga, and that's completely fine. Moving on to the next set of teams, we have the JPL and the Eredivisie sides, and you can see here the JPL very much so underperforming, with a Romsas DMP, of course, against a very tough opponent, and the second team as well. You know, even the defense had a rough one. Although I will say shout out to Sabawi, because he was the only one in our JPL side that done anything this game week, and that's fine. Like I said, JPL's probably been our best competition so far on Rags to Riches, so it is what it is. You know, we're going to have poor game weeks sometimes. And then looking at the Eredivisie, actually surprisingly done decent. Again, sort of the same story as La Liga and Bundesliga. We're in around that sort of 300 to 320 mark where, yeah, no one, it just didn't really excel for whatever reason. I will say a rare, you know, decisive for the midfielder from Utrecht, which was quite a pleasant surprise. However, yeah, no, nothing else really happened around them. I will say Twente very unlucky to have conceded in the last minute, and maybe if Twente didn't concede their goal, we could have been looking at potentially a streak being hit in Eredivisie, which is a rarity here on Rags to Riches, because usually Eredivisie doesn't do that well for us. However, I will say the first team done alright this game week, and the second team, yeah, not the best, but was to be expected against Feyenoord for NEC. But I will say they actually did go on and win the game. However, they did concede two, and we have pretty much the defensive side of NEC. But it's good for the future. It looks like we bought the right team, if that makes sense. So yeah, looking good for the Eredivisie. Obviously we didn't really hit it this game week, but maybe in the future we can do well. And then moving on to the last set of results then, and you can see this was our actually our best team this game week was in Challenger. I feel like we say that a lot, to be fair. Challenger's actually been pretty good for us. I feel like we've got a good set of players. That being said, we did have a red card in our lineup. Philip Billing getting a red card for Midtjylland, and Midtjylland losing, quite surprising. However, the team still did pretty well. Unfortunate, as we were going for the 400 streak here in Challenger, and we weren't a million miles off it, to be fair. If Billing maybe didn't get a red card, maybe if Sane got a decisive, you know, 3 goals for Gala, maybe if he got one of them, we would be looking at a 400 streak, because the boy Iredale and Mitov, of course the Cambridge United boys, come through and score well. But yeah, the rest of them didn't do that well, and that it is what it is. You know what I mean? The second team done what the second team probably should. No one really done insane other than Miller, who's so hard to predict when he's going to do well. Yeah, he's just a bit of a weird card, to be honest. I feel like he's either not playing or scoring 100. So, yeah, he's a bit of a weird one, Miller. And then looking at our contender sides, again, similar to Bundesliga and La Liga, in that 300 to 320 range. No, it didn't really pick up ever. And yeah, that was sort of the story of the results for this game week. What does that mean then for the gallery? As you can see here is a brief summary of everything we just spoke about, and you can see we only yielded 100 essence, which means we're currently sat at about £7 in the wallet and 2,500 essence. And yeah, that does mean we are close to another craft, but not quite there. So remember to leave your comments down below. What craft number shall we pick next for our beautiful crafts? Because of course you guys managed to pick me out an amazing craft last time. If you are new to Sorare and you want to support a small creator in myself, then I would really appreciate if you use my link in the description down below to sign up. And of course, you'll receive all the best referral / welcome bonuses using the link down below in the description. Thank you. So I'm here to run you guys through the midweek shenanigans. Before we do that, I forgot to add or take note that we did sell Bahoya, the forward in the Bundesliga. The reason for that is because I believe Frankfurt have changed their system now, and he's kind of not in favour for the system that they're playing, which is really unfortunate because we did spend quite a bit on him, but we sell him for £4.40. I just feel like we could use that money elsewhere. So I know in the last clip I showed us having £7.12, and it might not have made sense because, of course, yeah, Bahuya sold, and I forgot to mention that. Anyway, moving on to the midweek then. This is the lineups that we have put out for the midweek. You can see here is our European League sides. I'm not that hopeful because Betis against Utrecht is not exactly a favourable game, especially because Utrecht are away from home and Billings playing Roma. So we're not really that hopeful, but if it gets, any XP or whatever, maybe 100 essence or something like that, that'd be pretty cool. And then apart from that, we don't really have a lot else going on other than our Champions League side, as you can see here, which actually looks a tiny bit better than our European Leagues one, which is surprising because usually it's the other way round. However, Flecken is away from home against Man City, so not really too confident there. And yeah, I think it's not a terrible side, to be honest. And of course, you guys are going to see the results of this midweek in the episode here today. So yeah, I'm excited to see how it gets on. Hopefully, we just get any reward would be good, to be honest, for Rags to Riches in the midweek. I didn't really build these lineups with the midweek in mind. It was more for the weekend. So anything that we do get in the midweek is a bonus. And then outside of that, the only other players that are playing that are part of this series are just dotted around in random lineups, as you can see here. Actually, I think this is pretty much all Rags to Riches except from the goalkeeper, but the goalkeeper's not playing. So yeah, we kind of have a little bit, we have our what's the saying, the toes in the water everywhere. I don't know, fingers in pies or some sort of analogy like that. But yeah, so our players are a bit all over the place for the midweek, but let's see how we get on. If you guys want to help and support me create more videos like this one for you guys to enjoy, then I would really appreciate if you became a member using the link down below in the description. Yes guys, so it is deadline day here on Rags to Riches, so I'm here to round off the video for this week, as always, as we get to the back end of these Rags to Riches episodes. I will say, if you have made it this far or you are listening now, thank you very much for supporting the channel. It is currently day of recording, my birthday. I know it's a couple of days now in advance, and yeah, just so happy with the channel and the support I've been getting, so I do want to say thank you. Without any further ado, here is the results of the midweek then. You can see we actually cancelled this lineup, and I'll get on to why shortly, but you can see no one really done that well other than Miguel Rodriguez, and we weren't on to get anything, hence why we cancelled it. And then looking at the Champions League midweek team, you can see here we did get a 100 bomb, but no one else done anything, and it was the most unexpected 100 bomb ever because yeah, it was against Man City. Yeah, obviously I did not anticipate that or expect that to be happening. If we did put Bade in instead of Brown, we might have been able to get somewhere in terms of essence. However, we didn't. So yeah, and I probably would have sticked with Diamonde captain, who actually done pretty well. However, the other two did not manage to get anything going, which is a bit unfortunate, but it is what it is. And yeah, so really not too much to write home about in the midweek, other than the fact that, of course, we kind of missed out on using Bade. I can't even find him here. Where did we even put him in the end? I don't even know if we used him in anything. So there we go. We kind of missed out on a good score from him, but it is what it is. And then moving on then. So we have a couple of sales, a couple of buys, a couple of people up for sale, and obviously the lineups to get through. So first things first, we have sold two players here. You can see Diego Lopez for £1.30 and Scheidler. I'm terrible at pronouncing names, but the attacker from Charleroi, who we almost doubled our profit on. So just thought it was a good time to cash in on that one, seeing as we weren't using him for this current game week. We have also brought in Adeyemi for the Bundesliga stack. We just need a good forward, so we got him, and an extra defender in the JPL. And obviously, I'll show you guys the lineup as to why we bought them two in. And you can see, just so you know, on the spreadsheet, we only got 500 XP from the midweek, just so you guys know. And here we go then. Here is sort of the updated, the today stuff. Then the lineups. And you can see here is Adeyemi that we purchased, and Diakite, who we bought today. And the reason why we bought them is to go in our beautiful lineups. So we'll go through each of the squads going into this game week. I'm going to have to refresh the page because for some reason today it is not showing me the competitions unless I refresh the page, which is a bit of a strange one. But anyway, moving into La Liga then, here is our two sides. Like you can see, again, it's kind of the common theme in Rags to Riches. The first team looks pretty great, the second team not so much. But with that being said, here in La Liga, both teams actually look pretty juicy this game week. And you can see the first team pretty good. Obviously, we're quite hopeful that Sevilla can do well because we have the goalkeeper in both stacks. Maybe not against Betis, but if they do well, at least we've got the platform, we've got the other players that should hopefully do well. With Captain Pepe for this one, I'm just feeling a decisive from him, so hence the captain choice. Aymar in there as well against Mallorca. Yeah, I feel like pretty decent little stack. And the second one, kind of a couple of risks in there with Mariba and Garcia, but that's kind of the theme of the second team. That there's going to be some risk involved, especially in a budget series like this one. Moving on into the Bundesliga, here are our two stacks for the Bundesliga. Then you can see both on 6%, which I'm really proud at because it was a bit of a squeeze this game week to get them both on that. And you can see here, pretty much very happy with both stacks, really. I think they're both as strong as each other. Like, if you tell me after this game week that the second team done better than the first team, I wouldn't be very surprised. I think they're both equally as good as each other. And yeah, all in all, I feel like we've done pretty well with the Bundesliga so far. So hopefully it can continue doing well. We did well. I'd say this is probably where we spent the most money though. So hopefully the Bundesliga can start cooking on some streaks. You can see here we're still on the first streak in Bundesliga. I think we're on the first streak in every competition, just so you guys know. Same with La Liga. So yeah, JPL on the first streak. That is no surprise because JPL we have weakened. We weakened our JPL to improve in other areas, which kind of makes sense. Now I will say there could be a slight change between now. I guess now and the deadline in JPL, which I will touch upon just so you guys know in the video. However, you won't see whether it happens or not because, well, I'll show you why. You can see here are the two sides. However, I currently have a bid on for an in-season Rob Schoof, as you can see at the bottom here, but it concludes in 2 hours and 49 minutes. So, if we win that bid, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put Sabawi into this second team, and I'm going to put Rob Schoofs into the first team. I do have a Rob Schoofs classic card, but of course we need the in-season to go into this one. So we're going to try and get that one on bid, and then Issa will go into the second team. You can see the second team is not likely to do anything anyway. So there we go. JPL very weak this game week. Moving on into the Eredivisie. Again, similar to JPL, I'd say quite weak. First team's looking decent. The NEC purchases are making my JPL look a lot better. No, making my Eredivisie look a lot better than it should right now. So I'm very happy that we did buy these 3 players from NEC because it makes this game week look decent. I will say it's quite likely that Alonso could get rested in this game. I hope he doesn't, because that kills our first team. But yeah, Eredivisie a little bit lacking this game week, same as JPL, so I'm not expecting much from either of them. Moving on into Challenger, it's sort of like pick a mix with Challenger and Contender. It's just a bit all over the place, which is quite fun to be fair. I use these 2 competitions as sort of like, yeah, just a bit of randomness, a bit of fun. So yeah, you can see the first team, we've got the partnership of George and Freckleton. Hopefully they do well against the poor Dundee side. Then we've got Zubakov with a great fixture. He's on some sets as well, so hopefully he does well. Sane and Diamonde. Had to give Diamonde the armband because of the fixture. And then the second team is the second team, and actually not the worst in the world, to be fair. We've got Dan and Lundaloo. Of course, Cambridge United. Same as Iredale as well. Big Cambridge United, there we go. So got them 2 in there, and then yeah, the rest of the team. And Mitov, oh my god, we've got a triple Cambridge United header in the Challenger second team. So yeah, and the Challenger did get reset, our streak, because last week we didn't hit 400. And then moving on into Contender, you can see here, yeah, a bit all over the place, to be honest. But the first team's actually looking pretty promising. To be honest, they're both the same like strength, I would say, other than Mentham potentially not starting. But yeah, again, kind of similar vibes to the Bundesliga, where I can't really tell which team's going to do better, but that's the whole fun of it. We will see which team does better next video. And yeah, that is all of our stuff in Rags to Riches rounded up for this game week, and I'm excited to see how the teams do, because I think, to be honest, a lot of it is yeah, it's quite I would say random this game week. It's either going to go really, really well or really, really poorly. Come back next episode to find out. There you guys have it. There is Rags to Riches wrapped up for this video and for this month, really. This is, of course, going up on the last day of the month, on the 30th, or for those of you members will obviously see this the day before. With that being said, that is now 11 months on the channel of uploads straight. Every single day we've uploaded either a video or a short, and of course we're streaming loads on top of that, so you can tell we are trying to push this channel yeah, like crazy. And this year my goal was to upload something on the channel every single day. I will say that's going to be very challenging come Christmas time, because obviously I'm travelling back home to the mighty Cambridge, so I don't really know how uploads are going to go during that period. I'm hopeful that I still will be able to maintain my streak of getting, it'll be a real shame if the entire year I uploaded something and then during Christmas I missed a day, but I'm going to do my best to make sure we cook in December. With that being said, stay tuned, because my next upload should be a new Christmas series. So, you know, spoiler, well, not really a spoiler, more of a teaser. If you've made it to this point in the video, you deserve a little bit of intel. So yes, stay tuned for my next upload, because it should be Christmas themed, having lots of fun on the channel. As always, if you guys are enjoying the content, please remember to like, subscribe if you're new. I'll catch you guys in a future video. Peace.